till I die, Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die.
Hello and welcome to the regular Tuesday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. Tonight, as you can see, we've got a couple of regular friends of the show as panelists today, which is good. We'll talk a little bit about the Burnley game and about our frustrating wait on transfers. And anything you in the chat want to talk about, we've got 30 of you viewing us now, just pop your questions in for the panel. So without further ado, I'll start by introducing Eugene. How are you, Eugene? I think you're on mute, mate.
Sorry about that. I'm good. Good to be on, as always.
And Kev, he's still trying to master his new laptop. How are you getting on?
Well, it seems to be working now, so that's okay. Yeah, I'm doing fine, thanks.
Okay. Right. I don't know if Charlie's going to make it. We had another guest coming on, but he was struggling to get on with his iPhone. I don't get that. I mean, I just think you just click the link, you come in. So unless it's some sort of a setting he's got set wrong. Anyway, we'll talk a bit about the Burnley game, Eugene. What was your take on the game?
It was a good game. I expected the victory. I thought we would struggle a bit against the low block, but that early goal was good. Kind of alleviated all the pressure, which was good. Overall, there were some good signs. The shape was definitely good. Looked like what Frank is trying to do is registering, and the team is buying in. We weren't as great as some people make it out to be. We still gave up 14 shots, so there's still some work to do. But overall, I mean, even though it was a relegation team, overall, we did pretty well. But again, there's a lot of work to do still.
Brave selection by Frank, or do you think he was even thinking ahead to the Man City game?
No, actually, it made sense. I was happy that Archie Gray was given a chance at the 6. He hasn't played there last season or maybe one game, so he needs experience. He's going to struggle a bit, but that's expected. But it was good to see Palhinha and Bentancur given a rest, and Bergvall and Archie Gray having a go at it. So that was good. And it shows me that, we're not going to spend a lot of money on squad options. We hopefully will bring in one or two more. So all the youngsters that we do have on the bench are going to have a big role to play, just given that we're in 4 competitions. So it was good that Frank trusted them in the first game. And it shows me that they'll be playing on a regular basis, which is good.
Kev, your take. We met at the game, didn't we? I mean, what was your take on the game? I'll give you mine afterwards.
Yeah, I was reasonably surprised by the lineup. We knew it was going to change a lot from the PSG game, and I suspect it'll change again this coming weekend again as well. But it was good to see that midfield starting 3. because I think that that's probably that could be the future, couldn't it? But depending on who we buy, if we buy anyone in the next few days. But yeah, I was reasonably happy with it. As Eugene said, we were a bit bitty here and there, but overall, it was a reasonably confident display, and I don't think Vicario had too many saves to make, did he? Even though we let them have a few shots in that respect. But yeah, overall it was it was good to get a win first game of the season, and it cheered everyone up post match, as we saw.
Eugene, I thought, on my take is, I thought we're a bit sloppy with some of our passing in that first half in particular. And it's been a concern. The midfield's been a concern for me, whatever midfield blend we've used last season. We finished 17th, so we know it was Pants, as it was a forward line with Pants as well. And it's something I want to see an improvement in. I'm sure we'll get it with Paulina, and Kudus will help because he'll take pressure off as well. Looks like we will get Eze in, but we'll come on to that. Yeah, and I think we let them have they were, I thought, they went in 1-0 at half time, but they had a fair share of the ball. I didn't go into the stats of possession.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm more concerned with Romero, and again him making silly mistakes like he did last season, than the passing in the midfield, for this game specifically. It's just, I don't know why. Like Romero, he plays really well in big games, but it seems like in games against smaller opponents, he loses focus, like we've seen many times last season. And again, there were a couple of instances where he turned the ball over twice, which gave Burnley good chances. A better team would have capitalized on those chances. So I just see him again making the same mistakes as last season, which as a captain now he cannot do anymore. So hopefully this was a one-off, but this gives me a cause for concern. More concerned that the young midfielders making mistakes, because that I can accept. They're still trying to get experience and learn. But Romero, as a captain and as our best player, he cannot keep making those same silly mistakes.
I mean, the midfield did okay through effort in that, Kev. But what concerns me about the midfield is there's no sort of, they look disjointed. There's no cohesiveness there. There's no fluidity. It's like in good teams like Man City, when you had De Bruyne in the middle, the other two midfielders either side of him, they had their zones to go up and down on the pitch. Ours seem to be all over the place. I mean, Carr covers every inch of the ground. Bergvall keeps coming from the left over to the right. He was trying to make runs, which it's easy for people screaming, sitting next to me at the ground, say, Romero, why don't you find him? But, well, when you play football, your line of sight is not what we've got right high up in the seats. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it will come to good, but we don't have to wait too long. I can see us having a good season with Click.
Yeah, I think you're right. Obviously, very young midfield, as we said on the day, and they haven't played much together as a three. In that term. So I suspect they were still working out a bit, and I suppose it depends what roles they were given by Frank at the beginning. But I thought they probably started off a bit jittery, but they definitely grew into the game. All of them in the second half. Or Bergvall and Gray grew into the second half a lot more. I think Sars obviously had more experience out there, and he was doing his usual very good athletic display going forward. But yeah, I think it will come, and I think the fact that we can rotate now in the middle with more confidence than we could before, because you will have known that I've never liked Basuma as we've been going forward, and he was always for me a weak spot in the middle. But I think what we've got there now with Paulina as well, able to come in. It depends. I think he's going to be picking the midfield depending on who we're playing, whether he's playing a back five again, and all that. So it's gonna be a rotation of starters anyway. I suspect they'll all get minutes, especially as they're still getting up to speed. Bergwijn obviously coming back from his injury at the end of last season. Paulinho didn't really have a pre-season, did he? So it's going to be, I think it's a work in progress, obviously, but we don't want it to be too much of a work in progress. We've got to hit the ground running this weekend, really.
We'll be lucky to see one of them three midfielders start against Man City. Eugene?
Let's see. I think Sar will start, and actually, I have to hold my
Well,
hand
not
up.
more than one. I should have said not
Yeah.
more than one.
I have to
Yeah.
hold my hand up. I wasn't the biggest fan of Sar. I mean, he has the engine, he has a great attitude, he's got the legs, but his tech hasn't improved in my mind in the last couple of years. And in my mind, he's not a number 10, obviously, but so far this season, he's done really, really well. Again, he's not, the best option at the 10, but he showed me a lot. And I think it's going to be an interesting competition at the 8 between him and Bentancur, because Sar has
Yeah.
shown me a lot, to be honest. And whether it's Frank's coaching or whether it's just, the progression that he's made this season, but he looks really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he's been our best player pre-season. My concern with the midfielders is like when you they're not. I don't see them playing as a unit. Those, you know what I mean? I don't see them playing like when you see a game. If like Sar covers every blade of grass, well, fine. But surely, if you're the 10 and you're given the free roll, that's fine. But if your plan is at 2/8 or whatever it is, then it's not fine because you shouldn't be wandering. You shouldn't be getting up the pitch and getting in front of other players' ways and things like that. And there should be some sort of discipline in that midfield. I'm loving the win and all that. I don't want to come across as being a negative ninny, you know what I mean? But I'm very positive by nature anyway. But I just want to see when you see the midfield click as a unit and you think they played well together. We're not seeing that yet, which is a good sign. We still won a game, you know what I mean? We still won the game.
We do know where it is. And sorry, just last thing. I just feel like in our midfield, and it's been a problem for a while, the bravery isn't there. Like you still see passes, passes back, sideways, back and forth. We don't have anybody who's brave enough to make that through pass or to make that play. Bergwijn tries, at least with Bergwijn, I can see him attempt to do it. But even Bentancur, like nobody else does it. So we had to play through Kudus every single time, right? It's just the ball goes to Kudus and everybody waits for him to do something, to make something happen. And in our midfield, we just don't have those players who can be brave enough and take those risks, and make something happen. Hopefully Eze is going to be the guy everybody thinks he will be, and he's going to make a huge difference. But as things stand right now, our midfield is just not good enough to make things happen. Everything goes through Kudus. And if we don't bring anybody else in, teams will double team him, triple team him, and it's going to be an issue for us.
It's a good point Eugene makes, Kevin. Giving the ball away in the middle of the park is not good. I personally don't mind players taking a risk in the final third. So if you're around, if you're in the opponents, once you get into their 25-yard areas, then I don't mind a player taking a risk then.
No, that's right. And I think I think Kudus is being doubled up on already. I think he was at Burnley and at PSG. They're crowding him out, but he's got that physique and ball holding ability to take that on, and that frees up other people. But I mean, it is playing that killer ball through the middle. Obviously, I can't remember who played it through for Johnson, but that was the type of ball that we need all the time for the forwards to run onto. To play those balls and to have the vision to play those balls rather than the little sideways passes and as we try and get round get around the players. It's having someone who wants to take on the players as well. Like we've said, like I said in the past, like someone, have someone who's got the guts to run at the guy. Kudos again is doing that. It's something that Lamella used to do when he came on, that sort of thing. It's someone who's going to pick the game up by the scruff of the neck and try and run it and pass the ball in a positive way. And I think Bergvall, he's getting there, and to a certain extent, at the end of the last season, before he got his injury, that's what he was doing a lot more. And I think he's just got to break back into that sort of confidence that he was showing towards the end of the last season.
Yeah, on the Kudus thing. Go on, Eugene.
Yeah, I was saying, like, another thing is just it's so frustrating. There were multiple times last season as well. We have a chance to catch the team on the counter, and a midfielder or Johnson, they get the ball, and instead of pushing it and starting a counter, they take the ball, they hold it, and they pass it backwards. And I'm like, we have numbers. Like, why are we passing it sideways and backwards? So we just need somebody brave enough in the midfield to be brave on the ball.
I think also is Romero playing the ball out. I mean, he frustrates me, Romero, when he slows the game down.
Yeah.
And he does tend to do that quite a lot, and then he'll just play the square pass to Van der Ven. Is that because the forwards and the midfields aren't moving enough for him to play a killer ball through? Sometimes maybe, but he does slow the game down, and sometimes we just need him to play the ball, first time out to someone. But he can play that ball. If his mind's on it and the runners are there.
Yeah, big up. Yeah, it's interesting on the Kudus thing, Eugene, because this takes me back, and let's not make him do everything for the team. He's obviously a superstar, in my opinion. But I remember the same situation we had when we had Aaron Lennon. And Aaron Lennon said in an interview I see, that he said that, well, every time I played, they used to double up me and get two men on me. He said, but when Gareth Bale came, that was a game changer. And I think Eze would do the same for us, because we'll give other teams more to worry about.
Oh, for sure. He's exactly what we need, even though he's not kind of a great passer, right? He's more of a dribbler. He runs with the ball, but he's dynamic enough and creative enough where, he's going to give us a different option. He can actually, dribble and take that shot, or he's somebody who other teams will fear, because right now nobody's afraid of Johnson on that left, especially. So, and if it's as in Kudos, it's definitely, and it's going to give both Johnson and the striker more space for sure. Because right now, Kudus is the only player who other teams fear. So in order to free up space for Solanke, Richarlison, and Johnson, we need somebody else. And if we get a left winger as well, then we're in good shape. Then it's going to be very tough for other teams to play us. It looks like we're not getting Savinho, but if we get somebody like him, or if we get him somehow, it's going to be very tough for teams to play against us.
Kev, something that I find a bit exasperating. It's not that I haven't warmed to the player. I don't get Johnson on the left.
I don't either.
I think we've said constantly that he's an inside forward, really, in the old style of, and he's a poacher in the box. He's not really a winger, although he's been played out on the wing consistently for us, either right or left. So it is a strange one with Johnson, because he doesn't play on the wing for Wales, does he? As I'm sure one of our regular contributors would attest to in this. So it's very strange that they think they put him out on the wing. It's very, he scores a lot of goals in the box. He might be a tapping merchant, but he also hits them. I mean, the finish his finish on Saturday was a fantastic finish. Little flick with the outside of his right foot. It was a brilliant finish, and he can do that. And of course, he scored from outside the area and edges of the area, as well as his little tap-ins that he's well known for. So I think it's a hard one with Johnson. About I think he's a bit of an enigma on the wings. He's people don't like him because he doesn't go past the player or doesn't go past the player often enough or try it on often enough. And you would think maybe if he's on the left, he can go down the outside when he's on the left. So why doesn't he? Maybe a bit more. He probably works better when he's got a very good overlapping full back with him. But that doesn't always work. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him sort of coming in. If he's not starting and he's not starting on the wing or he's not starting in the middle because we've got Eze and we've got another left winger, then he's going to be someone who's going to be coming on towards the end of the match. And we will be playing him through the middle maybe.
I was going to ask you that, Eugene. Do you see, even because if we do get the wingers in, and Tell and Odegaard are going to get game time, they're going to be in the squad. They're going to get game time. So do you see times where, because we don't know with injuries with Romero or Solanke, can you envisage seeing even Kudus playing in the central role if we get, or even Johnson playing through there? Because that's where I think his future lies, actually.
It'd be interesting to see Kudus at the 10 if he's willing to play the 10, because that's going to give him more space to create and to use his abilities. Like Johnson, I just don't see him as a 9. I don't think he's built to be a 9. I think he's not physical enough, and just his movement isn't the best, when compared to what a 9 should do. Plus, his pressing would be lacking. I just don't see it. I don't see him as a 9. I think he would be best used off the bench as against some teams when we play on the counter. We just need somebody to pass him the ball. If Romero is consistent with those long passes to him, so Johnson can just run on the ball on the counter, I think that would be his best, best usage of him as a specialist of the bench when we play on the counter. Yes, he does score goals, but he doesn't offer enough for me, and I just don't see him as a 9.
He's not a ball carrying 10, Kudus, is he, Kev? I mean, like he's like a progressor of the ball, really, isn't he? He drive at players rather than he's not a passer like Maddison who turn around and spray it all around the field as a 10. He's not that.
No. He's not. I mean, and what he's shown on the right is that he will attack players and move it and then release the ball. So I think which is something we always cry out for. You got to, if you've got the low block, you've got to attack the defence to take men out of the game so that you can progress past the low block. And what he did for the 2 assists and the 2 crosses was exactly what we're looking for from someone who's playing out on the right there, especially the second goal. His little flick with his left foot and then the cross with the right foot. Absolutely, lovely. And of course, that was right in front of where I sit when he did that, and when he did the little trap on his foot as well. So that's all good stuff, and it had an end product, which is what people say sometimes. Oh, you can do all this, but he hasn't got the end product. But he had the end product when we did against Burnley. So yeah, he might. I think at the moment, if Eze comes in, Kudus will stay on the right, won't he? But we'll have to see what happens.
It's just so interesting. Just one thing, I think we've been so starved for quality on the wing. Even Sonny last year or so, he slowed down. But when we see a real winger in Kudus and we see what he brings, just the flair, right, the ability to take his man on, it's night and day to other options that we have. Odegaard can do some of that, He's just not, obviously he's still young. He's not as good. But if you look at Tell and Johnson, he's just, for me, they just don't do it for me. I enjoy watching like real wingers like Kudus with flair who can take their man on. And if we get one more on the left-hand side, it's going to make, lives for Salah and Kerry Charlson that much easier.
He's really a push and run player rather than a dribbler pass to Kev, isn't he, Johnson? I mean, he's got the speed. This is what's annoying. He has got the pace. He's one of the fastest players at the club. So you think if you've got to run at a player, you don't have to dribble and try and be tricky and get round him when you're by the corner flag or something like that.
No, he should be almost just flicking the ball past a guy and running, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
But it seems like his pace is without the ball. He's really fast without the ball. But when he's actually running with the ball, it just, for some reason, he doesn't seem as fast as he should be. Maybe it's just me, but that's what it looks like to me.
Let's talk about, before we move on to other things and transfers, let's talk about Jed Spence. He's just signed a new contract, happy to be at the club. What's your take on Jed Spence, Eugene?
Oh, he's really good. I rate him a lot. I think he should definitely start over Destiny when Destiny gets back. I mean, Spence showed me more than Destiny has in the last year plus. I know it's the injuries, but he does look good on that left-hand side. He didn't have the best game last game, but we have a pretty large sample size at this point to have confidence in what he brings. So I'm excited to see him play. Again, I don't know how long Destiny's out for, but when he's back, I want to see Spence keep his starting role.
Your take on Spence, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a revelation really since he came into the team, and and I think we've said before he seems to be much more comfortable on the left than he does on the right, even though his first game was on the right, wasn't it? When he made everyone sit up and stare. But I think you're right. I think he'd be keeping Destiny out of the side at the moment.
See, my take on Spence, he's playing like a right back on the left anyway, which shows he can play as right back. And even though fans turn around and say, oh, well, look, he's better on the left than right, a lot of fans haven't seen him on the right, let's be fair, because he hasn't been on the right for us for much, unless you've watched, his times where he's been at other clubs. And to me, when he's on the left and he's playing against an inverted winger, right, the inverted winger is cutting onto his strongest foot anyway. So, and if you had him and that opponent on the right-hand side of the pitch, it would be exactly the same thing. So it shows he can do both. But even when he marked Salah out the game in the Liverpool game that time at home, right? I mean, Salah's trying to cut in, and it suited Spence. Plus the fact he's the second fastest player at the club. So if he's on the right, I've got no qualms. I've seen Spence. I've got no qualms about Spence playing on the right. I'd still like us to get a left back in.
I mean, I would put. I'd put Spence against. Oh, sorry, Adrian. Go ahead.
Oh no, go on. You go.
No, I would say I would mix and match, and I just put Spence on the best winger in the opposing team. So I think most good wingers in the Prem are on the right-hand side. I think. So
that's what baffled me with Ange when we went and played up at Liverpool. We didn't play Spence against Salah again. I just thought, all right, Ange, I'll give you praise when you get it right, but I don't get it. You've done well. Yeah, I think he's going to develop even more. He seems to have got his head straight. That's why all these low moons, Girona and whatever. And mate at Middlesbrough criticised him, the manager there, whose name escapes me at the moment, when he was there. And then he goes to Forest, doesn't he? And then he goes out to Girona, was it, or whatever, in the French team as well. And now he seems to have got his head down. He's earned himself a new contract. Now, fair play to him, because he looks a quality player. And he also, during the game, Kev, he didn't seem to want to give the ball to Johnson anyway, did he? He kept wanting to cut in. He kept wanting to cut in field.
Well, it's strange you say that, because obviously when one of our main moans about Udogie when he plays is that he doesn't release the ball quick enough when there's an obvious pass on to whoever is playing left wing. But then Spence was doing much the same thing, but doing a good job as he was cutting in as well. So yeah, I think he's, obviously signed a new contract, so he's here to stay, isn't he? And and he'd probably be looking to maybe squeeze himself into an international squad. And
yeah. Johnson. I've seen him beat his man twice so far in all these pre-season games, right? Yeah. Right. Let's see what my next banner is. A second. Oh, game debate. Yeah, let's talk about Eugene, Frank's game management. What did you think? How are you getting on with this manager?
I mean, I think it's too early to tell. I mean, but again, so far the signs are good. I think he understands the opponent, unlike Ange, who had his way of playing, or once we set up a certain way, kind of that's what we did the entire game. It looks like Frank is more flexible. So it's still too early to tell, but based on the last couple of games, I don't have huge concerns at this point. But on the other hand, I'm not gonna say, Frank is amazing. He's the best ever. We'll see what happens. We'll see how he manages the squad, and a lot is gonna depend on who else comes in. And if we get two more in, it's gonna give Frank some additional options on the bench. Because if you look at the PSG game, right, what cost us was our bench. We didn't have any senior players or good enough players on the bench who you could trust in a high pressure scenario like that final. So you can say that Frank should have done this or that, but ultimately he only has certain options on the bench, and he's not a magician. So it's just going to depend on who's on that bench.
It's easy to be clever in hindsight. We didn't lose the game; we lost on penalties. But I thought, well, as SARS can run. To me, I'd have preferred it SAR had stayed on personally. But it's easy to be clever in hindsight, on that. Yeah. Warnock was the one who criticised him. Yeah.
I agree. It's a bit too early to judge, but obviously he's had two games where he's played two completely different systems, in because of the different opposition, and so it's. He didn't really have to manage the game on Saturday, to be honest, did he? Because the team did it themselves, got 3-0 up, and we could change things around without worrying too much about anything. It's pretty different on Saturday, and we have to wait and see and see judgment there if he's gets like he did against PSG, against City, and we're defending a 2-goal lead towards the last 10 minutes of the game. What's he going to do? Is he going to change, his tactics of bringing on players at a late stage to try and tie it up when they weren't, as Eugene said, they weren't the right type of players to tie it up. So it's a difficult one at the moment. Being able to say, can he do this? Can he do that? I think we've got to give him a few games to bed in himself, and then see how he treats it, because he's still learning what the players can do as well.
Well, you mentioned Saturday, which is a good point, because he's had time with the pre-season games, time between games. He's had a week between the first two league games. He's not going to have the luxury of a week between games shortly. We barely start the season, then we get that dreaded international break. I mean, we've got to hope that he didn't have this situation with Brentford playing a game every 3 days. So that's going to test him. He's not going to have enough time to think and details. He's after a game finishes, basically, you've got to get straight on that drawing board and see who your next opposition is.
Yeah, you're right. What does perplex me sometimes about how our season's set up. I mean, if you'll remember in the past, Adrian, start of the season, you played the weekend and then you had a midweek match straight away. And that was always the case, but that stopped a few seasons ago. And now we have this start of the season, which is a bit slow, really, in terms of building up to the matches. And all of a sudden, you're just hit by match after match after match after match. So it is going to be a test for him as a manager, because I don't think he's done Europe before, has he? So in that respect, but you know, the setup against PSG was good to start off with, you know, and you know, there won't be that many teams like PSG who can cover us for the whole 90 minutes, especially in that last sort of 10-15 minutes of the game where they're just piling the pressure on, because they'll be knackered as well, you know. So it's going to be an interesting take, and well, hopefully he can manage it.
Well, this is why I get a bit puzzled by some comments by managers. I mean, like Pep saying he prefers to work with a smaller squad. Really? And you're in 4 competitions and you don't know what injuries you might pick up, and you want to work with a smaller squad? I don't get it, Eugene.
Yeah, it makes no sense. We've seen last season before. We need a deep squad, especially with our history of injuries. I mean, we have injury-prone players all over the pitch. You know, on defense with Romero and Van der Ven, we know for a fact they're going to miss games. Richarlison, Solanke, we know they're going to miss games. So right now our bench is just mostly kids, and they might be good enough to play in, you know, FA Cup games or League Cup games, but we do need some rotation for Champions League, at least 1 or 2 players. And with all the injuries that we should account for, we're still, you know, we don't have enough experience on the team. We need another 1 or 2 players with experience. Might not be like Polinia, but somebody who played in important games, somebody who can come in and we're not going to be nervous for them to make a mistake. And right now, just looking at that bench is just, you know, Archie Grays and Bergwall and Tell and Odeberg. Again, they might have talent. They might be good in a year or 2. But if we do want to compete on all 4 fronts, if we do want to have a good shot of winning a cup, you know, whether it's FA Cup or League Cup, we need more experience. And and I don't expect us to, you know, to resolve all those issues. But again, 2 players in, that means that 2 of the current starters are gonna be on the bench, which just improves our depth.
Yeah. Yes, Rain Man. I always forget that this international break always going to heck at me. Listen, if you're a Premier League side, you just want to be going to football and watching Premier League games. I mean, really, I think the international break's mainly for fans of teams in lower divisions. To be honest with you, but they probably. I mean, you know, I'm tired of England, to be honest with you. Right? Yeah, so I agree with that. Right. Let's see what my next banner is. Let's move on. Yeah, we'll come on to there. News, views, and latest transfer news, right? So, and by the way, before we go on to this, a big up to the 101 of you viewing us on all platforms and all of you in the chat. If you've got any questions, get them in. The panelists will take them. Yeah, and like the rotating ribbon at the bottom, you know, if you can please leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. There's that little red subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner we can't see. There are memberships if you want memberships as well, you know. So yeah, big up to all of you watching us. Right, news, views, and latest transfer rumours.
Are we up to date?
Well, I mean, from this morning onwards, we heard that from good sources, more reliable sources, although they're not always correct, that this agreement's in place, right? It's done virtually, but Palace want a replacement. How do you see this, Kev?
I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I mean, it seems like it's done, and then there's someone's thrown a last minute bomb into the negotiations. It reminds me of my old boss. And I was I'm in property, and one of my old bosses, we used to be negotiating deals and we'd get all the legals, and right at the last minute, he would throw something in saying, "I want this," and virtually the other side had to virtually agree to it, otherwise the deal was off. So and it seems that that's the sort of thing that's happened here, maybe with Eze, but I fully expect it to happen now, with everything that's been said over today, um, and trying to follow the 565 messages in the WhatsApp groups and things like that, which aren't always talking about football. But yeah, I think that one's probably there. And announcement tomorrow. Who knows? I mean, I know Palace wanted Eze to play in the Conference League qualifier, didn't they? But yeah, I don't think that will happen. But we'll have to see.
Yeah. Eugene, this still's happening, isn't it?
And I want to say it will happen, but after Gibbs White deal, which I also thought is going to happen for sure, who knows with us. But yeah, I mean, it has to happen. There's going to be too much blowback and just too much, the meltdown would be epic if it doesn't happen. And I know that the board and Levy, they don't really care about fans' sentiment and fans' opinion, but this one would be an all-timer. So if it doesn't happen, things are going to get really, really bad. So I do see Eze coming in. Probably it might not happen in time for the City game, which is unfortunate. But as long as he comes in, everybody's going to be ecstatic. He's the only player from the last couple of years that probably 99% of the Spurs fans want. So it's going to be, and if he does come in, this would be probably our best window in a long time. Even though for me, we still didn't do enough, I still want a left winger. So like if it be Savinho or like Lookman or somebody, an improvement on the left hand side, and it would be an amazing 9 out of 10 window. And the reason why it's not 10 out of 10 because we're still missing that fullback that we need. But I understand that the funds are limited and we might not get everybody else in. But if we get Eze, it'd be our best win in a long time. If we get Eze and the left winger, it would be a great, great window.
Yeah, I'm not logically this isn't Morgan Gibbs White Mark II. I can see this deal being done soon. I mean, like Palace want El Canus off of Leicester. He's a cheaper price. I think they did initially want a bit more money up front, but apparently all that's agreed. It's just a question of like, we want the player now, and like Palace might want him for that extra game, which seems bizarre to me. You're risking getting injured now in a game, and you've got to consider the amount. If it's 55 million with 5 million add-ons, as we're led to believe, the player's 27, 28 years of age. Parish, if he lets that contract run down, he will stay. He's never going to get this amount of money for that player. A lot of clubs have been put off by the price tag because of his age and no sell-on value or whatever with him. Right? We're not. We want the player. So this is the reason why I think this deal gets done, and I think it'll be done by the end of this week anyway. Whether he plays against Man City or not, I don't particularly care. I mean, it'd be nice if he was in for that game, but then you've got to be training with your players as well and have a bit of a
I can see if we're getting him in before lunchtime Friday, he could be on the bench. But
yeah. And then we'll move on. As I say, we've still got 100 of you with us, which is excellent. Is this still dead, Eugene?
Nobody knows. Like everybody's an ITK. Everybody has sources. Everybody knows something. So at this point, until Ornstein or Romano say something, I don't put much stock into what somebody's friend or uncle's coworker says. I mean, it does sound like City does not want to sell, and it's not Pep, it's somebody on their board.
Ferran
Um,
Torres, the chairman of
yeah,
the City.
but so it's going to be interesting. So I thought if they do go for Rodrigo, they would need money to fund that deal, and they would sell Savinho, which is logical. So I still think if they do want Rodrigo, they have so many options on the wings right now that just keeping Savio makes no sense for them, right? So I feel like if they do get Rodrigo, we're gonna have a decent chance of getting him. The question is, do we want to overpay? He's probably worth what, 55, 60 million, and they want 70 plus. I mean, I would overpay personally at this point, but um, if it doesn't happen, I'm okay with it as long as we have some replacements lined up. I'm not fine having either Tell or Johnson on the left next season. That's not good enough. So we need somebody else, whether it's Fofana, Lookman, or the French lad. I forgot his name, but we need somebody who is dynamic enough, similar to Kudus, who can offer us similar output on the left. Otherwise, we'll be in
You see,
trouble.
he's competing with Bob. He's competing with Dorku, right? He's not going, and he wants to be in the Brazil squad. Who doesn't want to be in a national team squad? So for next year, so he wants game time. That's why he wants to come. Otherwise, why would you want to leave Man City for Spurs? It does. You don't, do you? Not when they win things, right? So, but if you're not getting game time, like Grealish was, who'd gone on loan to Everton, you know, I mean, he wants to come. So conflicting reports was, well, what's the price? Conflicting reports that Ferran Torres of the City Group didn't want to let him go because they felt a bit embarrassed about Palmer going to Chelsea and doing so well, you know, and there might be a bit of concern there that Silvino will come to Spurs and do equally as well, and yet they're not playing the player. So I don't think the player's going to kick up a fuss. I think this one's in the balance. You always get with these media reports on transfers. One day it's on, next day it's off, because they've got to have something to write. One day it's on, next day it's off. One day it's on, and like, you know, it's dragging a fan base from pillar to post all the time, right? And
I think, Adrian, it's going to be super simple. If they do not go for Rodrigo, then he's staying. If they do go for Rodrigo, then it gives us a chance. I think it's just as simple as that.
if I was making a commitment on this, if I'm leaving a team, if there's something that can happen with this deal, if nothing's confirmed by the end of this week, you know, I mean, we're now at the 19th, and we've got 11 days, 11 or 12 days to the. We're gonna have we'll have other players in mind. I've no doubt of that. And the money we're talking about for Savinho, it means we can go and get someone else who's good, right? There are a lot of wingers out there. You know, it's a question of like whether, you know, if they're ones that literally play on the left or can do a job on the left, a better job on the left than what we've got, and are upgrades on what we've got. I mean, there's plenty of wingers out there. It's just a question if you went for and the price. I mean, if they started saying to us like, well, if we were rumoured to have offered 70 million euros, which is about 61 million, I think you get him for 65 million personally. And if not, now you're stretching it. It comes to a stage where the money that the club's asking is taking the piss and you should walk away. Even if they're really a good player, you should. Especially if that sort of money might bring you in 2 players or 1.5 players, say, you know, that you're going for. With I'm talking about money as in down payments on players. Because if you pay 70 million for a player, you don't play up front. You know, you can pay it over 5 years or pay it over 3, you know, whatever. So I don't, yeah. This deal isn't dead to me because if while the player wants to come, I don't believe Pep is standing in his way. He's talked a lot and raved about the player in the past, but I don't think he's going to stand in the player's way. And once you start talking about if they want 70 million, then you do go for Rodrigo. You go for him, you know, or other top class wingers out there. Because if you're going for top players in Italy, you'll get them for that sort of money. Players that should be 55 million are going for about 40 in Italy, you know, so because they need the money.
Yeah. I mean, I think right. I don't think it's dead completely, but I think, and it might rumble on through to next week unless we turn our attention to someone else. And I think once the Eze deal's tied up, they'll probably say to City, take it or leave it, and we'll go somewhere else. I think at that point. I think it could be knocked on the head by the weekend if City aren't going to be playing ball.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's Savinio. I mean, like I said, the media will keep the story going even if it's dead. You know what I mean?
And even beyond when it's dead as well.
Yeah, we've talked about Spence. There's no mention of length of contracts, but I should think he's got to be at least 4 years.
I thought
or
it was 4
years.
years. I thought
Yeah,
I
there's
saw
a year's extension. So I've put him on the 2031 list of. I've got all the players' contracts here because people on banners because people ask for them. Like, you know, just go through a few of these chats. Yeah, Rayman. They're not. This is the biggest amount of money they're ever going to get for Eze. If he was to stay there for another year, his price drops. He's down to 1 year on his contract, and at his age as well. And he knows. Look, the word's out there. He knows Arsenal are not coming in for him, right? They're not. So, and it's his chance to play Champions League football. All the terms with the player have been agreed. Everything's been agreed. We're just waiting for like him to be given the go ahead to have his medical, basically.
Yeah, and all the big teams who would be able to afford him, they have 10s. So I think we're the only one who are desperate for a 10. If you look at the other, top 6 clubs, I believe they all have 10s. So if he waits another season, with his age, I don't think like City or Liverpool or Arsenal are going to come in for him at this point.
Well, Arsenal spent about 192 million. We know that other clubs have got financial constraints due to FFP, like Newcastle and Villa. I think Villa have got to sell or something. Don't know what Man City are doing. I mean, when they start spending money like it's going out of fashion, you begin to think, well, are you going to get a transfer embargo when they finally come down hard on you? You know, I'm not. Which would be the thing I'd give them anyway, minimum. Right. So audio's here. Big up audio. Says he's left. Yeah, that's in another season. I want to get through this one. I want to get through this one with success. Yeah, but that might have been the player on 2 years, though. He might have said, no, I'm not signing. This is why I said in the room there, although I'm a big fan, if you don't sign, any of our players on match, I like them. You get down to 2 years, you don't want to re-sign, and we'll sell you. Sell them. Don't get emotional about it. Yeah. I mean, they dragged Zara out and they lost money there as well. Yes, Rayman, they did. Yeah. Back to the banners. Right. Let's say Spencer's got a 4-year, which I'm pleased with. He's going to grow into a superb defender. This guy who wants this, Roger, but now Frank wants him to have a new contract. Are you a fan, you guys? What any of you can take this?
He blows hot and cold for me. Bendico, I think his injury didn't help him last season. He seems to be coming back to his best form, though. And as my son would say, if he plays well, the team's playing well. So he does seem to have that bit about him. But last season, I wasn't impressed with him. He didn't seem to want to be involved in games, and he drifted out of games quite a lot. But towards the end again, he started getting back to, the player that got us into the Champions League. And so I think he probably, and he's got that experience, and he can come on at the end of the game, and he can be a settling player in the middle. So I think giving him a new contract would be the right thing.
It's a tough one. I used to be a huge fan of him, but he hasn't been the same since that big injury or the 2 injuries. So yeah, he's on and off. It depends, I guess, what the contract is, how much we want to pay him. Because with the improvements that Sarr is making, I can see Sarr as our long-term 8. On the other hand, if Frank wants to go to back four, back three, and against some teams, Bentancur would be used probably as a six, like against the teams like Burnley or smaller teams who are not going to be who are not as potent offensively. I think Frank would sit Polinia and play Bentancur at the six, especially if Bissouma is going to leave, which I think he will or he should. So, am I a huge fan at this point? Probably not. However, if he does get back to his best, he's a really good player. The question is whether he'll get back to his best, and I'm not sure if he will. But as a squad option, either to start at the 8 right now until Sar makes that jump, or even to come off the bench or spot start, he's a good option to have for sure. Just depends on the contract.
Kev, it was noticeable how when he came on Saturday, how he looked so much more calm and steady.
Yeah, he's that type of player. He is a calming influence, and when he comes on, that's why I say. But I think he'd be there more as a squad player now. But I think, but as I said right at the beginning, we're this midfield at the moment is going to be rotating a lot. I think between games, and you're going to get different combinations coming forward until maybe one suddenly clicks and we're on it. But I think this is going to be a lot of you start a game, then he'd be on a bench for a couple of games, and the same's going to go for all of them, I suspect. As we move through, especially when you get if we get Eze in there as well, we've got that extra player then as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of rotation.
And with Eze coming in, and with Decky and Maddison, if we get rid of Bassoon, we've got 8 midfielders, and I'm not against that. And my reasoning has always been, like, you've got a squad of 25 with 2 in each position. It's 22. With the extra goalkeeper, it's 23. That leaves you 2 extra positions to fill. I actually prefer them in midfield because, and the way our squad is, because most games are won and lost in midfield. That's where you pick up more bookings more often and get suspensions, whatever. So I'm all for the 8 midfielder. So I don't see us going for another midfielder as much as I would take Danny Armour or Xavi Simons. I would. If you're talking quality, you take them, right? But yeah.
In the perfect next season, I would definitely sell Maddison. Given his injury history, I don't think he'll ever be the same, and he's just not going to play enough for us. And controversially, I would probably sell Kulusevski as well next season. I'm just tired of us, putting square pegs in round holes. Kulusevski in the vacuum in isolation is a very good player. I like him a lot. I like his attitude. I like everything about him. But he, especially with Kudus on the right, Kulusevski doesn't have the pace to be a winger. He doesn't play on the left, and then he's not really a 10. He doesn't have that passing ability. He's not a great finisher. He does offer us a lot. Again, he's a good player, but if I would get rid of Maddison and Kulusevski and bring in a natural 8, a top number 8 who can start day in and day out.
Well, on Kula, then let's talk a bit about Kula. Then, as a 10, I can see him. Like you've raised your concerns about Maddison, but also when you look at Damsgaard at Brentford, that number 10 works hard. And Frank wants his number 10s to work a lot harder. So 2 players inside that got to put in more work are definitely like Johnson and Maddison have got to work harder if he comes back from that injury, right? So they're going to have to work a lot harder. I can see Kula in the 10. I can even see in some games him on the right wing. And then you've got the option what you're doing with Kudus as well. If you want to play him through the middle, then you could do that, and you've still got Eze on the left without bringing in a left winger as well. I really like Kulusevski. I'm a real big fan, but fans don't get it. Fair enough. And he's not slow. If you look at all the kilometers, it's just that others in our team are faster than him. That's what it is. I think 2 of them are in defence. Yeah.
He's
was
another one I
mentioned-
don't.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No,
Yeah,
go for it.
he's another one you don't really think. He's not really a right winger, is he? And I've always preferred him in the middle, not as a 9, but as a sort of a 10 or someone playing behind the 9. In that respect, and he's done some good stuff there, and I think he's got a finish on him in terms of some of the shots from outside of the area that he does, and I quite like him. But in general, in the midfield, and you saying have the extra players in midfield in the squad, Adrian. Also, you've got the versatility of the midfielders who can drop into the back line as well. Obviously, Gray proved it last season. He's dropping in centre half, right back, and whatever. And no doubt, Paulinho can drop into being a centre half as well. If necessary, when there's injuries and whatever. So having that flexibility in the middle is good. And then if we got it across the front line as well, where you can say, oh, Kulu, Kudus, they can exchange. Eze can go out on the left. You can, if you've got that flexibility, you can employ that flexibility in a game as well. So it gives you a lot of options, and I think we've got a lot of options coming forward, and especially when Kulu's back fit again, because I don't see we won't see Maddison this season anyway. I don't suppose at all. I know what it's like to go through an ACL, even though I'm not an athlete.
I mean, last thing on Kulusevski, and like my biggest issue with him in the middle as a 10, as we mentioned about Romero and others, I think, or I feel like Kulusevski slows the game down too much. When he has the ball, I just rarely see him just make that quick pass. He like over dribbles too much for me. He likes to keep the possession of the ball. He dribbles. I rarely see him make that through pass. Or against low blocks, I just don't see him pick a pass like Madison would. For me, he uses his size and strength to bully the opponent too much, but he's not as creative as what I'd want to see in the 10. Just he holds on to the ball too much, and
he's definitely a different player to Maddison.
Exactly.
In terms of that, and how sometimes you get frustrated in Maddison that he doesn't take the ball on.
Right. As a false 9, as a false 9, he'd work, but like as an out and out 10, he doesn't offer enough for me. And as a winger, he just doesn't work as well. He just
doesn't work.
not as
When he was
good.
playing, he made more incursions into the opponent's penalty areas than any other winger out there. And people like this. It's a point, like say, he's one-footed. I mean, I remember that right-footed cross at Man City when we won 3-2 when Kane got the header right at the death. And the fourth official threw his arms up. Well, he looked like he was a Man City fan before he looked at the fourth official, right? Which made me laugh. But I like his hold up playing away games. He's got us across the line in away games by holding up against Luton away when Basuma got himself sent off a simulation, and then VDD scores the goal and Kulu. All the balls went to Kulu. He can do a very good job for us when things aren't going well. And the whole idea of cutting in on your left foot, for anyone that doesn't know, I mean, when you've got the two angles of the penalty area, those that's called the closed space. That's what they call the closed space. And he makes more incursions in that closed space, and that's to narrow the gap between yourself and your centre forward, so you can get off a more accurate pass or get a shot off yourself, or play a 1-2 off the centre forward or something like that. Because you find with most wingers now, I even see it with Man City and better teams with better squads than us, they get the ball down to the wing, and the winger, right, unless he can hit an inch perfect cross to that number 9, they don't bother. They go on a half turn and pass the ball back normally.
Yeah.
So because football is robotic, I'm still going to stick by what I'm saying. Yeah, I like the player, but look, Frank has been backed in his window. He's going to have to sort all this out, and at the end of the season, we'll know who his favours. And like once we see some more games, what I always look at from any manager, I look at the 11 he picks, the 9 on the bench, and who's the 5 that's been left out of the squad. They're not getting them unless they're injured. I mean, there's a reason for it. Why has he left those 5 out of the squad? And then on the 9 on the bench, who are his favoured sub that he brings on unless someone's injured in a certain position you need to replace, like centre half or something? Because you can get a good insight into the manager's mind by looking at the bench. and then after it's going to take a few games. By the time we get to Christmas, we'll know a lot more about Frank, not just from his Brentford days, for what we've seen, setups, team selections, and things like that. We're going to know a lot more, and we'll pick it up pretty quick because I'll be onto it and I'll be mentioning it when I do my synopsis of games, like so. Yeah,
I think the subs he made against Burnley were, I think we all called them, because they were pretty like for like most of the time, and we weren't having to chase the game or defend madly as well. So it was a reasonably simple task for him, I think, on Saturday at the end of the day, in doing that. But yeah.
There was interest in Danny Almo before he went to Barcelona because they were struggling with their finances. Even now, I think they're struggling to. They might have to sell if they want to bring anyone in. They're going to have to sell Barcelona because just because they're quota of players, they struggle to register him and all that. I would take him. I mean, who wouldn't, right? He is a passer as well in midfield, isn't he? So, yeah. So look, if he was up, I'll take him or Xavi Simons. I'm surprised no one's gone in for Simons. I really am. Yeah, so with them Spanish clubs, they're both heavily indebted, seriously. They seem to find a way to get a deal done, but it's not as easy as it used to be from in the past.
Yeah, no. Simons is waiting for Chelsea, and with links to Olmo and Simons and others, like I'm realistic about where we are in the food chain, and players are not going to want to come here from Barca or from Madrid, or players who have bigger clubs interested in them. So Simons, Olmo, Rodrigo, like that's not our level. What we should be doing and can be doing is going to clubs below us, like Palace, West Ham, Brighton, and taking their best player, which is something that we should be doing. But as far as players from Barca and Madrid, I don't think they're going to want to come here at this point.
Yeah. We've talked about this guy we're moving. I'm pleased he signed a 4-year contract because then he'd be 31. And by that age, if you get through the next 2 years of this contract, you can probably say, okay, you're doing well. We'll give you another year's extension or 2 years extension or whatever it is. Right. But that's one actually on that, because I was thinking about this. These extensions, I don't know if it's in the rules or anything like that, or when they're negotiating with the player. Why do clubs only give a player a 1-year extension that's optional for the player or the club at the end of their contract? Because you've got nothing. You either activate or you don't. So why not make it 2? Why not make it? We've got the option of a 2-year extension on your contract, because you're either going to take it up or you're not. And you're either going to take it up because you think, okay, this kid's young, I can still sell him, or we want to take it up because we want to keep him here.
Yeah, I think it depends. Could be depend on the age of the player, can't it, as well? Because obviously, Sonny was at that age, and if Romero's 31 by the time we get to his extension, centre half, he might be struggling in his pace and whatever. Do we want to take it up or don't we? Yeah, I don't know. We don't know whether there's a rule saying you can only have a 1-year option. I would imagine there's more. You can do anything you like with a contract, really, can't you? So, I don't know, Adrian. I can't answer that one.
I don't know either. I was just thinking about it. I thought it just makes sense to have a 2-year option, because you either take it up or you're not if you think the player's good enough. And then if a player gets down to 2 years on his contract, you aren't in a panic to sell him, or try and get Romero to sign a 4-year contract, because you can let it go another year, before you do that.
So, it might be that the players don't want that, that as well for the same opposite reason, So.
Yeah. Let's go back to. I think we all want to see these gone, don't we? I mean, I would like to see more of Solomon, but I just don't see a place for him in the squad now. And Gill and Basuma, I'm done with him.
Yeah.
I'm sick of us fans falling in love with a player because they have a few games at the end of the season. And usually you get it with some players, they then get a new contract and then go backwards again. Because they're made for life when they sign a contract, aren't they, Eugene, these players? They're made for life when they sign their first one in the Prem.
Yeah, I mean, we just cannot sell players. I mean, and Arsenal has the same issue. I don't know, like how Chelsea can sell anybody. Like it doesn't matter. If Bissouma was a Chelsea player, he'd be already gone for 30 million in the beginning of the window. But for some reason, we just have a hard time selling anybody. And yeah,
Mm.
we definitely need to get rid of those players. I mean, Hill, I'm shocked he's still here. Solomon, not good enough. Bissouma, definitely, I want him out. So we just need to do a better job selling players because
And
the
it's
whole
not as though.
plan.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
sorry,
it's
go ahead.
not as though they're on top wages, is it? And then you can fall in a trap like Man United, who never seem to have learned. They get players in on top wages. Our fans complain about not paying the wages, you know. I get that as well. But same instance, if it don't work out, you can't get rid of the player, or you've got to pay his wages. So it's a, you know.
Yeah, it's and just maybe, I mean, related, not specific on the subject, but kind of it came to mind, kind of a short rant, if you don't mind. Like what we're doing, just the plan overall does not make sense to me, especially with the youngsters, with the academy. We have a hard time selling these players. We have all these youngsters in our academy who go out on loan, and there is no pathway to the first team. We're buying even more youngsters like Odebert, like Tell, like Archie Gray. So if you look at our squad, even though we do have more depth than in the past, but the squad is bloated. And if you look at our youngsters, at the academy players, like Mikey Moore, like Lancashire, like Donnelly, if I was them, I wouldn't see a path to the first team. So unless we do a much better job selling the players that we don't want, like Richarlison, Bissouma, Hill, Solomon, and not buy even more youngsters who are blocking the pathway, like Tell, like Odebert, like Gray, like I said, like Bergval. I just don't understand what the club is doing right now or what the plan is long term.
I'm a big fan of the loan to buy, or even the loan to obligation buy. Even if it's someone like Tell, we were all undecided on. We haven't seen enough of him. Because even then we've renegotiated the price for Tell because even if that was an obligation. But I love the loan to buy deals, Kev. What's your view on them?
Well, they seem to have worked in our favour on a couple of ones that we've done in the past. Wasn't Alderweireld a loan to buy as well when we first got him? So yeah, it works that way. I mean, it hasn't quite worked the other way for us.
He was, the Celso was, and
Yeah.
Mourinho wanted the Celso on a full contract. We've done quite a few. You know.
Yeah, it hasn't been quite worked the other way round when we're trying to get rid of them. And Hill was probably the prime example of that. But those three players, no, I mean, I'm with you. I would have liked to see more of Solomon. It's a shame he got his injury when he did, because he came on and he did take us by storm. In the 3 or 4 games that he actually managed to play, and he was looking a good prospect. So it was a bit sad, but his injury just sort of took it out of him, really, and probably the politics haven't helped. I don't suppose with him either. Basuma has just never really done it for me.
He's had 3 years to prove it, isn't he? He's had 3 years. It's not good enough.
Gets booked too often, and red cards for stupid things. No, he's not done it at all.
Yeah, and you know what? Even though I'm not a big fan of Solomon, and yes, the politics are an issue, but I would rather see him play than us spending 35 million on Tell after he hasn't showed us anything last season. And again, the planning doesn't make sense. We spent 35 million on Tell, and now we want to go back in the market and pay 70 million for Savinho, who is also 21 years old. How does it make sense? Like, to me, it makes no sense. And that 35 million, that's that fullback that we need.
Sometimes
So the squad building just makes no sense. Like, if Tell is the guy, why are we now spending 70 million on Savinho or looking for left winger? Because Tell is not really a 9. Just makes no sense to me.
He's not a winger, Tell. Not what I've seen on videos. He's more a striker.
but
But it's
Yeah,
like,
100%
yeah,
that.
it's you've got to. I mean, there are players that we don't see, and we're puzzled. We're all a bit perplexed about the Tell situation. You know, what you've got with Odegaard, he's a winger, right? He is. Right. But then you're thinking, well, they've signed him up, they've got the fee reduced, and you're thinking, well, they've obviously seen a lot more of him in training than we see. Because what's the attraction of bringing him? He didn't set the world alight, you know, break down any doors last season. He got a couple of goals. I love his attitude on the pitch. I love his attitude. He's got a good attitude, but I haven't seen. I've watched him in videos, and like there's something about him, but he's well, he's signed. He's signed. He's our player now. We're going to be keeping him. He ain't going to be
I mean,
sold.
I just don't see. Look, when we played the Bayern in the friendly, when their youngsters came in, 17-year-olds, you could tell that they're class right away. Like, to me, he's not even close. He hasn't shown me anything in the last 2 seasons. We always talk about attitude, this, that. That's great. But 35 million, that's a lot of money. Again, that's a center back. That's a fullback that we need. And if we say, yes, he's the guy, and we committed to him, and Frank says, yes, I want him, and he's going to start on the left wing, even though I don't rate him personally, it doesn't matter, as long as he does. But now we're saying, yes, we'll spend this money, but now we're going to go in and spend another 70 million on another left winger while Wilson is there and Tell is there. To me, it just screams mismanagement of the squad. And Byron, I'm sure they're super excited to get 35 million for him. Just looking and who else they got in the wings and those kids that came on. So it's a bit frustrating for me.
Right, we'll go for about another 15 minutes. But there's a few left field ones here. One I particularly like in here. But Kev, do you know much about Nathan Collins, the Brentford captain, on his 24-hour right-footed centre back?
Bugger all, really. No. I saw this one today. I was saying there's about 4 or 5 clubs interested in him. All of a sudden, Brentford have lost a lot of players. They've lost their manager.
If they lose him and Jester, I think they're candidates for relegation.
Oh, yeah, they will be for sure.
Do you know anything about this guy? I've only ever watched him. Eugene, no? If not, I'll move on.
A couple of times. Is he left-footed? I think he's right.
Right-footed.
Oh, is he right-footed? Yeah. I mean, he looked good from what I've seen him a couple of times. But again, right, it's how we build the squad. And I know the Dragusin is hurt, but he's coming back. And Takai, we need a left-footed center back who can also play as a fullback or a fullback. That's our biggest concern. So when we put in that bid, which I don't know if it's true or not, for Zabarny for 70 million, made no sense to me whatsoever. Nkape links, again, even though they might not make sense to me, but at least he can play as a fullback. So at least that's somewhat reasonable. But going for a center back who cannot play fullback and who's right-footed, I don't put any stock in it. Just makes no sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense us getting another right-footed centre back, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, I didn't put Guay on the list, although his price has dropped dramatically because he's 1 year on his contract, and Liverpool are interested. When I say these teams are interested, hang on, why aren't they gone in for him then? Why aren't they gone in for him? So this guy come up, and I got some feedback on this when I put him up because he's another winger. His actual Takuya Kubo, Real Sociedad, 24-year-old Japanese right wing, 150 appearances, 24 goals, 18 assists, which is good for appearances in the modern game.
So he's a right winger, though, Adrian.
He has played on the left, though. He is a right winger.
But again, that's square pegs like in round holes, right? Like if we want to say, he played sometimes on the left, and now we're going to spend 60 million for him. I just want a left winger who plays on the left. And
makes sense.
Good player, but not a natural left winger for me.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No. I mean, I know nothing. I only know what my son put in the chat.
He's very knowledgeable, son. He's very knowledgeable.
He was going on about him playing on the left or in the centre and the right. So there we go. But
just go for a few of these before I bring up the next one. Who is the
I used
last
to do, Ray man. That's my godfather who was a big Spurs man. He was that was his phrase as well.
Evening, Brian. He's a real life friend of mine. Don't need him. Yeah, it's a fair point, but we have to talk about these things. I like to get, we don't like to go to all the left field ones because I think it's just desperate for chat then. But this is one guy I would love. What do you know about him, Eugene?
He's a really good player.
Mm.
And again, in isolation, I'd love to have him. And if we have extra money after we bring in left winger and Eze, I'm all for it. But again, the question is, if our funds are limited, is spending 52 million on him, is that, a number one target for us? No.
He fills
so
two holes though. I mean, he's been used to playing in a back three with Jonathan Tah and Taps over at Leverkusen, but Tah's gone to Bayern Munich. I don't know if they're still playing a back three. I don't watch German football, but Leverkusen don't want to lose the player. But having said that, if someone hits that release clause, they're legally obliged, right? So then it would be down. Would the player want to come? So before any of this happens, use third party or associates you don't directly tap up the player through the club, but you just go to their agent, which you're entitled to do. You say, look, would Nkapi be interested in coming to Spurs? We can offer him this, that, and the other. Get back to it for years, and if he is, bang. I was talking to Sean about this earlier on his show, and he was saying, Sean Butler, and he was saying that, but Chelsea are in for and others are in for him. My question back, I wasn't doubting anything Sean says, he's well informed. I was just saying, well, why haven't they gone in for him already then? This is the same
He's not going
thing.
to come here to be on the bench for Van der Ven, right? His profile is high enough. Big teams are going to come in for him eventually, maybe not this season or next season.
He wouldn't be on the bench though, Eugene. I think he's that good a player that Van der Ven would be rested. His hamstrings would get the needed break they need it to be. So
I would do it. I love him as a player. He's a great player.
He's good enough at his age to not be a bench player, and he's an upgrade on Ben Davies. You could then say, bye Ben, love Ben, right? You could then let Ben go off to a Welsh club or do his coaching or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've only know what I've read about him, heard about him really, but he sounds like if he wanted to come to us and we could afford him, then you'd take him, wouldn't you? And then you'd have that extra left back that people keep saying we need, and the extra left-footed centre back that we need. So it would be a good all-round, involved in 4 competitions for a long time. Then everyone's going to get some decent game time here. So yeah, if he was available and wanted to come, why not?
And Eugene, it looks like I dismissed all the interest in centre backs, and I was in the mud really. I mean, football has a habit of making a fool of us, all of us at times, and it's done it to me more than enough times over 6 decades, right? So, but I said, look, we're not going to play a back 5 against PSG and all that. We're not doing that because, just look at the logic. And the way I always work on facts, and we always try and bring people facts here in our channel. And I said, well, look at Ange's pre-season games. He's done the same at Brentford. Every game here he's played has been 4-3-3, or you can call it a 4-2, 3-1. So I said he's not going to play a back 5. So my reasoning was sound, but I was wrong. And now I'm inclined to think that, hang on, we may actually be really interested in the centre back, although our priorities were as a left winger, as you're saying, right, first. Because I can now see, after that PSG game, I can now see tough away games where we would play a back 5. Wouldn't surprise me if we did it against Man City on Saturday.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like I say, I think we're going to be picking the team. It's going to be much more, Ange was, this is us playing. People have to work out how to play against us, whereas we are going to be saying, I think Frank's going to be saying, this is we work out how we're playing against other teams. Especially the top six or whatever, we'll be probably a bit more cautious than we will be against others. Which you can't say that's a bad thing, can you? It's
No.
it's something we haven't done for a few years now. Picking a team to play against who we're actually playing. It's like I was saying last season when Maddison was coming on, he was drifting out to left. Sometimes we played Maddison in games we shouldn't have played him in, or shouldn't have started him in, because he was the wrong type of player for that game. And Liverpool, the league game against Liverpool was one of those, where all of a sudden we had no one in midfield and got ripped apart because Maddison kept drifting out to the left. But I think Frank's going to be much more solid in his picks and telling people what to do and where to go. To be honest, he might not have done it with the midfield three against Burnley, but I think it was Burnley. So I think it'll be. I think we'd be more the PSG team. I think against City.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Drew Zilla will obviously cover that and do a preview of that. A little bit of the loan roundup because we're nearly done.
Doing well.
Will Lancashire impresses for Oxford United, scores in defeat at Hull City. Well done, Will. Whether or not he'll have a future at this club, who knows? Alfie Devine scores the winner and shines for Preston, a 2-1 win against Leicester.
Good stuff.
Right. All good stuff, yeah. A bit
like beating Leicester, yeah.
Yeah. European Champions League draw is Thursday the 28th of August, Gormudi Forum in Monaco. Now, there are some games tonight and tomorrow, but they're only first legs because there's 5. No, I think there's still some spaces in the pots to fill, right?
5 spaces still, yeah.
Yeah, and Rangers were losing 3-1.
Getting slaughtered. I think they were at least 3-0. At least 3-0 down. Yeah.
It was 3-1 the last time I looked at that game, because I wouldn't mind meeting Rangers or Celtic in the group stages. No. And when you consider it, because we're nearly done, we're going to qualify because through the round of the Champions League, simply because it's the same format as the Europa League. So the top 8 will qualify automatically. Then the next 16 will be in playoffs.
Yep.
Hopefully we could qualify in the top 8, but then so we're going to play 10 games, not 8.
Yeah,
I'm definite of that. And we see how our form is when we go into that, because if suddenly we click and we've got these players in, you never know, right?
The strange thing is, if Rangers are beat Bruges, which they probably won't now, we would be in pot 2. But as is, we're likely to be in pot 3. Not that it makes any difference at all, because you're playing two teams from every pot. But so we're sort of on the cusp of being the 16th/17th ranked team in the tournament. So
us, like every other podcast, we'll be covering this in the draw, obviously, and having another discussion about the pots and all that. I actually think that it's the way it works out. There's some names, or there's some old names in here that like. They look bigger than they are, but they've fallen on hard times. Some of these teams, they're big in name only or old reputations only. So, so that's that. Upcoming fixtures, and we're done, guys. So we've only got a few minutes there. And need to thank everyone. Right, this doesn't look too bad to me, Eugene.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, City's the only game where. Expect a loss, or at least expect a tough game. Villa, I don't think they're, very scary this season. But yeah, every other game, we should be favorites. Does that mean we're going to win? No, but...
Not on last season's form, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this gives us a good opportunity for, all the players to practice together. And all the new signings to bet in, so it's good for us to have somewhat of an easy start, and hopefully we can kick on from there.
Kev?
Yeah, well, City, we're a bit of a bogey team to City, so you never know really on that one. Sometimes it goes on. I thought Bournemouth played well against against Liverpool until the last 5 minutes, obviously. So that could be an interesting game. We're at home, obviously, so it's a good one. West Ham's cup final comes early this year, But Wolves are our bogey team, obviously.
Mm.
We've lost a few times to them over the past few seasons. So that one would always worry me. The Wolves game. Leeds away, that'll be interesting with their with their crowd there, and Everton at their new stadium as well. So it's there's some interesting games there. But yeah,
the three teams we have the best Premier League records against, I'll believe it or not, Everton.
it'd be Everton
Man
almost
City.
certainly.
Man City is second, I think, and West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham they're terrible.
Oh, they could get relegated this year. I mean,
I think they will.
I mean, they've got Jared Bowen. I don't know what else they've got.
They're going to spend the whole game against us booing kudos, aren't they? So,
yeah, probably. Yeah, right. We're as good as done. I want to thank the 122 of you that are viewing us on various platforms. And so that you don't miss our shows do go out every Tuesday at 10 o'clock UK time, 2200. The same on Fridays. Druzilla hosts Friday and I co-host with him. EMF hosts Sunday, and our other admin Tom and me co-host with Ian on a Sunday. And I host Tuesdays, and me and Tom will be doing the Champions League on Tuesday. He's busy now. He's just become a father again recently, and he's very busy. So whenever he's busy, we got patience. We can wait for him. So 122 of you on various platforms, and we're competing with other shows. We're only a fledgling group. We're a very new group. We've only been going over a year. But if you could like the rotating stream button down the bottom, please smash the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. There are memberships if you want one. You can see the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner in red. We can't see it ourselves. We do have a Facebook group with 14,500 members, which I started when the stadium opened in 2019. We do have a Facebook page, and you can find us on XCOM as well. And with that, I want to thank my two regular guests and regular friends of the show, Eugene and Kev, for coming on. And
pleasure.
And I shall, you'll obviously be back on a regular basis. And I'm going to end the show now, and I'll see you in the back room. Once again, thanks to everyone's comments in the chat, questions, and I shall play you out with a bit of soul. And I'm making various music says we can vary it up a bit all the time for intros and outros. So I'm going to end the show now. Thank you all once again.
We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die, heart and soul. Lily white and navy blue. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham